keep going to get this power. I knew that it was given to me by grace and to know my purpose. You get pushed through this pain to get to this power. That tends to give a divine scar, but the power gives you reinforcement. Pushing past the pain to let your voice be heard. Pushing past your fears to let your voice be heard. How much faith do you know to overcome your fears? You have blessing to someone to hear. There's a message in your words. There's a power in your voice. Keep pushing through your pain to keep that power. I keep my faith over fear to have the power in my voice to be heard. You have the power. You are resilient and you have the strength. Your voice is powerful and you need to know that you're powerful. Hold on to that power. Hold on to that power. Hold on to that power, which is the power in your voice. Use it to stand by grace. Use it to know your worth. And use it to be ready to show your knowledge. The power in your voice. A platform to redefine, which is inspiring, which is impeccable to give you knowledge, and which is a place for you to grow, to be walking in your purpose and being very amazing. The power in your voice. Hold on to that. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Your Power in Your Voice. This is your host, Sheena Gadine, better known as the lady behind the mask. Today, we are here with Miss Natalie R. Murphy. How are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me today. How are you?
I am great. It's always a pleasure to have, the award-winning author in the building.
It takes one to know one.
Well, you know how we do around here. We work, and we work hard.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so can you introduce yourself and tell the people who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Natalie R. Murphy. I keep threatening to change the R to romance junkie because I am a romance junkie through and through. I write romance novels. I started in 2020 during a pandemic. And since then, I have self published 7 romance novels, and I'm currently working on number 8.
Impressive. We running about neck to neck. I'm on number 7 right now, and
Okay, all right.
so we running about neck to neck. See, I'm coming on the heels. I'm coming on the heels. Coming around the corner. But it's always a pleasure to be on here with a fellow author in the building. So, can you
Yeah.
tell me what made you decide to become an author?
Wow, that was not something that was on my radar at all. Like I said, I started during the pandemic, and I woke up one morning and I had a thought of a story, and I thought, "Oh, that sounds like a good story." And clear as day, I heard God's voice say, "Write the story." And clear as day, I said no, because I've always written. I've written poetry. I had written a couple of short stories, but I never took it to the level of thinking of being published. So when I got that word, I was like, I don't know anything about publishing a book. I don't know anybody who's ever published one. I have no clue what to do with this. So I was good to let it go. But every day more and more of the story kept developing in my head. And after about 3 weeks of this useless battle, I sat down in front of my computer and I said, Lord, if this is you, you're going to have to help me type this up because I don't type. And he did. I sat down, I started typing, and the story, it just flowed so easily. And then I was like, well, now what? And I got what they call imposter syndrome.
Mm.
And I was like, nobody want to read this. Nobody knows me. This is not that good. And so one of my best friends, I called her and I was like, read this for me. Because she's an avid reader. So she read it for me. She was like, Nat, you've got to do something with this. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I let my mom and my sister read it. And they were saying the same thing. So fortunately for me, I like doing research. So I started researching what it took to publish a book. And I did the pros and cons of self-publishing versus traditional publishing. And self-publishing seemed to be the route for me. And within, from start to finish, writing to publishing, in about 6 months, I had my first novel. Then came you.
Listen, how did you decide on the title? Because did you decide on the title before you wrote it, or you wrote it and then decided the title?
I wrote it, and then my husband actually gave me the title. We were talking, and I was like, I can't come up with a title for this. I don't know what to do. And so we were actually driving. We were on the way to go to a little staycation, and he said, "Then came you." He said, "Think about it. It was Shannon, then came Jabari. It was Zanaya, then came Brian." And I was like, "Then came you." And of course, that song came into my head. I think it's by the Spinners. Then came you, and I was like, okay, I can go with that. So that's how I came up with that title. Now, with some of my other books, though, I had the title first, and then I wrote the story, because I try to challenge myself with each book, and I'll do something a little different. So yeah, I don't know which is harder.
What, the title or writing the story?
Yeah, because well, no, writing the story is easy. If I should write the title first or after I write the story, I think I like doing the story first, because what I've done with a couple of my books is the title actually came from a phrase that was in the story, and I like
Okay,
doing that, having the title incorporated into the story.
absolutely. We have a comment, and they said, Miss Art said,
Deja Vu, that's my
"Yep,
sister.
your sister said, then came you is awesome book. So hashtag go get that book. Then came you. Go get
Absolutely,
that book. It needs to
absolutely.
be in the archive on the book."
That's
That's the
right.
sister
That's
you was
right.
telling me about that you was going to tell the same information we was talking about before the show.
Yes, yes,
Gotcha.
she
And
was a
hi sis.
Deja Hue was her paint and sip business that she had.
Got you.
Yeah,
Okay. So, question for you.
sure.
What do you think one of your challenges you came across writing your first book?
Ooh, writing my there were a lot of challenges because it was my first book. Um, the biggest challenge was, well, I shouldn't say the biggest, but one of the challenges was formatting. I've never formatted a book before. I think because I'm also a photographer,
Mhm.
that helped me along, because as I was reading the verbiage on how to format it and how to convert it from JPEG to PNG or PDF, that stuff would have been foreign to me if I hadn't encountered that as a photographer. So, but actually doing it, I hadn't actually done it before. So that was a struggle for me. Um, with the book being a romance book, um, as I call them, the passion scenes were a little unnerving for me, because I was like, well, how's everybody going to take that? But my mom read it, and she said, oh, she said, it's fine. She said, it's in the context of love. It's not like it's dirty or just straight out sex for the sake of sex.
Right.
So I stand on the fact that my mom said it's okay. So it's
Then
okay.
it's okay. Right. Absolutely. Now, writing is therapeutic. So,
Yes.
what do you feel that you learned about yourself, far as I would say a challenge about yourself and then a positive about yourself?
I'll start with the positive. The positive about myself that I found is that I could. I've gone further than I thought I could. Than I ever dreamed I could. I never really was one that felt like I had to be out in the front in the limelight, and so I was good with staying in the back. Gina laughs at me because I call myself a pip. The pip sing in the background behind
Right.
Gladys. I'm good to be a pip, but in writing these books, it showed me that I can go out front and be okay with it. It helped me to conquer my fear of what other people may think of me or how they may see me. Those insecurities that we have,
Mhm.
and we want to hide in the back being a pip. Um, but I've overcome those things in terms of being an author.
It helped you step
Um,
out the shadow.
I stepped out of the shadow, out of my comfort zone. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And the great thing about stepping outside of your comfort zone, as you well know, is you open up so many doors. You don't know what's out there if you don't step out there.
Right.
So yeah, so that part. My challenge, the thing that I've learned about myself that's still a challenge for me too, though, is marketing, because I have to market my book, and I have to, when I get in front of people, just talk. And when I get around people and my book is not there, I have to find a way to talk about my books and bring it out into conversation. So I'm that's still somewhat a challenge for me, but I'm getting better at it. I use my sister as an example. My sister can talk about her business anywhere. Hey, baby girl. My sister can talk about her business anywhere, and it comes out. It's such a natural flow. And that's where I'm still challenging myself right now to make it a natural flow. My husband constantly, he's the biggest cheerleader that I have. And he talks up my books to everybody in sight. And I kind of like let him do it, but I'm working on stepping up and doing it for myself.
Your sister said she is a marketing queen, and your daughter said
Thank
hi,
you, Kathy.
and your daughter also said whoop whoop.
Yeah. She's 19, so she's still a little hyper.
It's okay. We need all that.
I,
They are our
I
biggest
know.
fans.
She
Listen,
is definitely one of my biggest fans. Absolutely.
and one thing you will learn, they will be the one that will hype you up, especially when it's time to hit the stage or make those marketing things. The one thing I
Yes.
have learned about as far as with marketing and marketing your book, make it as confident you are about talking about somebody else stuff, you got to talk
Hmm.
about yourself just like that. You know,
Right.
because the more confident you are about your product, the more people be like, oh wow, well she is,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's like investing in yourself. So invest in that same
Right.
conversation like you would invest about talking about how they talk about McDonald's and Gucci and all these things.
Exactly.
You know, it's like if
Exactly.
I could talk about Gucci and McDonald's like that, I need to talk about myself like that.
You know, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good way to look at that. I like
And
that.
that's kind of how I see it, you know, like, oh, you know how we be like, oh, that's my favorite food. So I talk about my book like it's my favorite food.
Okay.
That I put the logic in my head, like, well, I like to eat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
marketing your book is money.
There you go. Absolutely.
So what advice would you give an author that's out there trying to figure out what to do? Because you know, a lot of times authorship, being an entrepreneur, is the hardest steps to take as far as
Yeah.
saying, you know, hey, you know what I mean? So, what
Yeah.
advice would you give to any future authors or entrepreneurs out there that wanting to step into the limelight?
Step into the limelight. Don't let anything stop you. Keep moving forward. Surround yourself with people that will be there for you. Now, that can be tricky though, because sometimes the people you think will be there for you are the ones that won't be. And it's not a knock against them, but just sometimes our path goes in a different direction and everybody is not meant to be on that path with us. The other
Absolutely.
thing I would say is do your research, your due diligence, because in the publishing game, there are a lot of shysters out there. So make sure you're doing your due diligence. Um, those are the two biggest things. Step out there and do your due diligence.
Your sister said, "Tell us about your workshop."
See how my family, I have the greatest support system in the world. So since I learned the self-publishing process, I have um, come to the conclusion that God didn't give me all this knowledge to keep to myself. So I've started doing a self-publishing workshop. It's entitled From Pen to Publish, The Road to Self-Publishing. And what I do is I sit down with authors or with writers, and we go through the self-publishing process. I walk them through it step by step. To date, I have had 3 writers become self-published authors, and I've got one that, as we speak, is uploading her book to be published.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That
That's
is
a big one for me. I love being able to give back and to help people because I didn't have anybody to help me with this process. So I know what it's like when you, like you said, doing it by yourself. I know what it's like to have to do it by yourself. So I don't want anybody to give up because they don't know the next step to take.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you, Tasha, for jumping in. She said that's amazing. And she
Thank
also said,
you.
congratulations. It's always
Thank
an
you
honor
so
to
much.
have Tasha in the building. That's my sister. Thank you for supporting.
Hey,
We
sister.
appreciate you. So, a lot of times we have a why. What is your inspiration of why you do what you
Okay, this is going to sound so sappy, but this is me.
do?
I have always felt like that phrase that Rodney King said, why can't we all just get along? I've
Hmm.
always felt like that. I've always felt like everybody should just love one another. And I wanted to find a way to, in my own way, insert love into this crazy, crazy world. So writing romance novels is my way of doing that. So my books are written with the intention to take you away from all the craziness going on in the world, give you a place to go where there's a happily ever after, even if it's just for a little while.
Ain't nothing wrong with that though. Sometimes, because the world is crazy and there's a lot going on. So just to throw sprinkle a
Yes,
little love, ain't nothing wrong with
exactly.
that. Ain't nothing
Thank you.
wrong with that at all. So let's talk about the newest book, To Be Loved by Blue. Now, tell
Yeah.
me, how did this now do they all come into a series or they just all, like from one book to book 7 right now? Is it like you have to read
No,
it in
it's not a
order?
straight series.
Okay.
No. So my first book, Then Came You, is the first one in a 4-part series. I hadn't intended for it to be a series, but my readers enjoyed it so much they wanted to know the stories of the secondary characters. So that book ended up, like I said, being a 4-part series. My second book, September to Summer, Principal's Heart, that's a standalone. That book that has a special place in my heart because that's the one you see behind me here, where the school is Drexel Elementary. Well, that's a lot of my, or should I say, some of my childhood. I attended a school called Sabarboro Elementary, and we lived on Drexel. So the picture, the image of the school is of my actual grade school, but I
Wow.
changed the name to the street that I lived on at the time I attended the school. So, but that one is a standalone. And then now the second series, it starts with Dear Butterfly, Wishes from the Heart. This is the first part of it looks like it's going to be a 4-part series. And then this is the second part. So Dear Butterflies and To Be Loved by Blue are in the same series. To Be Loved by Blue is about Antoinette Tony Kennedy, and she is done with men. It seems that all the men in her life, so most of them are in law enforcement, have disappointed her in one way, shape, or form. So she's not just done with men, but she's specifically done with men in blue until she meets Darius.
Mm.
Darius is everything she does not like. She likes a man taller than her because she's 6 feet, she's 6'1". She likes a man taller than her. She likes a man dark, muscular. Darius is muscular, but he's light skinned. He's an inch shorter than she is, and he's got all these corny pickup lines. And she's like, really, dude? But Tony, to keep from falling in love, Tony lives a life of promiscuity. But when she meets Darius, she kind of gets caught up into Darius unexpectedly. And then they get caught up in discovering a illegal dogfighting ring. And that's when all hell breaks loose.
Mm.
But like I said, it is a happily ever after.
Y'all better go get that book. Make sure listen, telling you. If y'all are a romance lover fan, hashtag go get the books.
Yes, all you romance junkies, you will not be disappointed.
Absolutely. I'm excited to read it. And when did you release that?
So that one was released in October. So it's still fairly new on the market.
Okay.
The first book in the series was released last February on Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay. So that was the one. What was it called again?
Dear Butterfly, Wishes from the
Dear
Heart.
Butterfly, which is from the heart, and then you have To Be Loved
To
by
Be
Blue,
Loved
which
by Blue.
follows it.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
got you.
And I'm working on the one that's following that one. Now, here's where we're talking about the titles. I'm working on it, and I've had about 75 titles. I haven't found one to stick yet, but I'm hoping to have to release that one on my birthday this year in
Okay.
August. I figure that's my
So
birthday present to me.
that would be a great birthday present. I actually
Yeah.
did that a couple years ago by releasing a book on my birthday. That's the best gift you can give yourself.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So what? Oh, your sister said, "What is Dear Butterfly about?"
Now she loved Dear Butterfly. That's why she wants me to. So Dear Butterfly is about. Let me see. There we go. So this is Dear Butterfly, which is from the heart. It's about Maya. Maya has encountered tragedy in her life with her ex-boyfriend um, being killed in a carjacking, and then her infant daughter being kidnapped from the hospital. The story picks up 5 years later, where she's picked up her life. She's moved to a town that I created called Jasperville, Illinois, and she started a bookstore and cafe. Well, she gets a flat tire on the side of the road during a storm, and Reese pulls up beside her, helps her out. They go their separate ways. Just so happens he brings his daughters to her bookstore for her Saturday uh, story reading that she does for children. So that's how they reconnect. But her best friend's boyfriend is a detective, and he decides to look into the kidnapping of her baby because it was never resolved. And when he starts dwelling into the kidnapping, he discovers some things that's going to totally upend her world and Reese's.
I see why your sister liked that book. Now, question: out of all 7 books, which is your favorite?
Impossible to answer. I get that question so much, but each book has a special part of it that makes it my favorite. If you can have 7 favorites, then came you. The characters. It didn't start out that way, but again, it was my first book, so I wasn't sure on how to develop the characters. So the sisters in that book are based on my sister and me and our relationship. Um, and let's see, Dear Butterfly, Wishes from the Heart. That one came about because my daughter, who was cheering me on there, she loves butterflies. So I decided to look up butterflies and do a little research on them. And there's a Native American folklore that says, if you want a wish to come true, whisper it to a butterfly, they'll take it to the heavens. And that's what Maya does. Maya makes her wish on butterfly wings. Let's see. Yeah, they all. I told you about September to summer.
Yes.
So yeah, so they all have
They
something.
all got something.
They all have something. Yes. So it's hard to pick a one.
So what's next for Miss Natalie Murphy? Like, we got the workshops, we have the books. What's next?
So what's next for me is right now I am doing what I've titled my mini book tour. So I will be actually entering exhibiting at several book fairs this year. I have one this not this Saturday on the 16th called Black Authors Meet and Greet, and that's going to be in Tempe, Arizona. On May 11th, I will be in New Orleans at the Black Ink Book Fest. That's hosted by Michelle D. Jackson. She's an author and publisher. And November 2nd, I will be at Books in the Desert in Phoenix, Arizona.
You traveling.
Yes.
Ain't nothing wrong with that though. Like, cause in order to get the word out, you have to go and market yourself and put it out there in front of people.
Exactly.
So there's nothing wrong with that. Now, is there any words of wisdom that you would like to leave the people with?
Yes. My favorite one It's the same thing. I heard it from Steve Harvey and I heard it from Joyce Meyer. Joyce Meyer says, do it scared. If it scares you, do it anyway. That's going to be the most rewarding thing you could do for yourself. And Steve Harvey says, jump. Make that leap. Again, the most rewarding thing you'll ever do for yourself.
Your sister said screenplays to present to Hallmark.
Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely on my.
You said that's definitely on your to-dos list.
Yep, definitely on my vision board, on my to-do list.
Absolutely. Well, it's always a pleasure. Make sure you tell them how to connect with you, where to purchase your books, and how to work with you.
Okay. So you can catch me on Facebook at Natalie R. Murphy Author. You can catch me on Instagram at Natalie R. Murphy, all one word, underscore author. And you can purchase my books on my website at natsbooks.net. That's NATSBOOKS.net.
Yes, and you also can catch her in the next magazine that is coming for the top 25 books to read for next month. Well, for this month, for March, So, yes,
Yes,
Unmasked Motivation. She'll be in there then too.
that's right.
That's right. As always, it's been a pleasure having you in the building, Miss Natalie. The doors are
Thank
always
you.
open. Everybody, I thank y'all for tuning in now or later. This has been your host, Sheena Godine, better known as the Lady Behind the Mask. You can find me at a Lady Behind the Mask 22 on Instagram. On Facebook is Sheena Godine, or you can find me on my Master Motivation podcast page and magazine page. I thank you. And as always, thank you for tuning in to Motivation, Inspiration, and Education on the Power in Your Voice podcast. Thank you, and y'all have a great night.
Bye.
Life struggles. When life tries to fight you back, you have to be ready to fight back. You have to be ready to stand your ground and be able to